Good morning, everybody. I'll just do this for you, first of all. I woke up this morning to a look at a comment on my phone from a cartoon character in which they suggested that Tom Fallon was a good prosecutor. Now, once I'd recovered from falling out the bed with laughter, yes, it did occur to me that very, very early on in one of my conversations I shown with Robert Herman, he actually told me that the person handling the case now was Tom Fallon. And I said, oh, well, that's good. That's better than Ken Kratz, but by any stretch of the imagination. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe there isn't really much difference between Fallon and Kratz. I suspect there isn't. Hi, Kelly. So here is something that I came across, which is a very, very long read, but an excellent post. I'll just make sure everything's working fine. This was posted by Temptedious, a user called Temptedious, and all I can say is thank you very much for your hard work and effort in compiling this post, which is up to the maximum of 40,000 words. So probably we'll split it into bite-sized chunks. I think that would be the prudent thing to do. Just make sure, as I say, that everything's working as it should do. Just make sure that the sound is working, and it is. So I can plug my phone back on charge, and we can have a read through this excellent compilation. Here is an excellent chronological compilation of available emails sent between Kathleen Zellner and Tom Fallon, the Wisconsin Assistant Attorney General. The emails provide incredible insight into the behind-the-scenes discussions and negotiations between Kathleen and the state in regards to Stephen's post-conviction proceedings. This post consists, once again, of a chronological compilation of emails and correspondence sent between Kathleen and Tom. It takes a bit, but the DASI computer does come up in the emails. The only reason we have access to any of these emails is thanks to Kathleen Zellner's transparency. Tom, as we know, was also an Assistant Attorney General in 2007, during which time he assisted Kratz in his prosecution of both Stephen and Brendan. Obviously, in episode 8 of Making a Murderer, at 47:40, we hear a clip of Fallon giving his closing argument at Brendan's trial, saying of Brendan, people who are innocent don't confess. The defendant confessed because he was guilty, because he did it. Just as Teresa's lifeless body was consumed by that fire, the defendant's presumption of innocence has been consumed by his own sexual desire. He wanted to know what it was like. Now, after helping secure Stephen Brendan's convictions, Tom left his position only to be reappointed Assistant Attorney General after Kathleen signed on to represent Steve in 2016. Again, all of the emails included below were sent between Kathleen and Tom. Attorney Fallon returns to his position as AAG. On January the 8th, 2016, 2016, less than a month after Making a Murderer premiered on Netflix, the law firm of Kathleen T. Zellner and Associates, my goodness, I am reading this terribly today. Let me start again. On January the 8th, 2016, less than a month after Making a Murderer premiered on Netflix, the law firm of Kathleen T. Zellner and Associates issued a press release stating their intent to represent Stephen Avery in any future post-conviction matters. I learned from a quick Google search that Tom Fallon, former Assistant Attorney General featured in Making a Murderer, was reappointed as an Assistant Attorney General in the Criminal Litigation Unit on June the 29th, 2016. In his position as Assistant Attorney General, Tom possesses the authority to act on behalf of the state in criminal cases as directed by the current Attorney General. In this case, Brad Schimmel directed Tom to negotiate with Zellner regarding her quest to gain access to evidence for post-conviction scientific testing for her new client, Stephen Avery. One wonders, doesn't one, about the conversation between Tom Fallon and Brad Schimmel. Was it Brad Schimmel that reached out to Tom Fallon and said, excuse me, pal, this has come back to bite us. It's your mess. You go and deal with it. Or whether maybe Tom Fallon got in touch with Brad Schimmel and said, you might need some help on this case. Probably not a good idea to get Ken back on board. We'll leave him to write his novel, and I'll help you out with this one. Whatever the circumstances, though, as I say, by June 29th, Tom's back on board. It was on August 26th, 2016, that Kathleen filed her motion for post-conviction scientific testing, requesting the circuit court permit her access to the vast majority of the evidence used against Stephen during his 2007 trial. Tom did not challenge Kathleen's motion, and after a few months of negotiations, a stipulation and order was signed on November 23rd, 2016, allowing Kathleen to access a select few pieces of evidence, such as the key and the hood latch swab. Kathleen called Tom months later, on March the 20th, 2017, March the 20th, yes, to inform him that some of her tests had been completed and that the results were favourable to Stephen Avery. This resulted in Kathleen making additional requests of Fallon. March the 20th, a date forever etched in my memory. My wife would kill me if I ever forgot the significance of that date. A month later, April the 20th, 2017, Tom sends a letter to Kathleen. It is clear from the wording of the letter below that Fallon is responding to multiple inquiries made by Zellner. This is evidenced by Tom's identification of Zellner's many requests as recent or otherwise. Fallon sends his letter to Zellner on April 20th, 2017. Dear Ms. Zellner, please find enclosed the Calumet County Sheriff's Office dispatch tapes for the requested time period. Also, pursuant to your request, we are providing you a copy of the flyover of the Avery salvage yard during the initial search for Teresa. According to our records, these were previously provided to trial counsel. Additionally, as previously indicated, our search of the records from the Calumet County and Manitowoc County Sheriff's offices failed to locate a recording of the phone message Teresa left on George Zipra's voicemail service. Also, pursuant to another request from you, we were unable to determine the amount of fuel in the RAV4 at the time it was recovered on November the 5th, 2005. As to your more recent requests for production of item FL, the bullet fragment that contained Teresa's DNA fired from, well, they keep saying it's Stephen Avery's rifle. It's not, it's Rolly Johnson's. But he's saying from Mr. Avery's .22 caliber Marling Glenfield rifle, and the bone fragments located 1/2 mile away in the Rodant Quarry pit, identified as item 8675. These items are beyond the scope of the Preservation and Independent Testing Order of 2007 and beyond the stipulation and order entered this past November. Nevertheless, we are inclined to make them available for further examination. We look forward to continued discussion on these requests for scientific testing. That's interesting, isn't it? So they're quite happy to hand over the, they're not happy to hand over the stuff, but they're willing to do so, and they do hand over the bullet. Kathleen is still waiting for 8675, and I don't suspect she'll be getting that for quite some time, seeing it was one of the items that was handed back to the Holbachs. Sincerely, Thomas Fallon, Assistant Attorney General. A comment from Temptedius. This is one of the more reasonable replies we have from Fallon, which is saying something, considering he seems to admit that there are some potential Brady violations. Nevertheless, I suppose Fallon deserves some credit for his apparent willingness to provide Kathleen with the pelvis remains and access to the bullet. I'm skipping ahead here, but for the record, Kathleen only ever got access to the bullet, not the pelvis remains, as we all know. Hard work, bad news, and bombshells. After an agreement was reached and a stipulation was signed, the DOJ delivered item FL, the bullet, to Kathleen's expert at Microtrace Labs on May 23rd, 2017, so he could conduct a microscopic examination. Kathleen received the results on May 25th, 2017. The examination did not reveal any bone particles embedded in the bullet. However, it did reveal an abundance of wood particles embedded in the bullet, along with a minuscule amount of potential red paint and a waxy substance. Zellner has said the results of the microscopic examination of the bullet fragment by our experts so undermines the state's theory that Teresa Halbach was killed by 2 gunshots to the head that we proceeded to file our motion for post-conviction relief. On June 7th, 2017, Kathleen filed her motion for post-conviction relief, pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 97406. Kathleen included the results of her testing on the bullet, key and hood latch swab, as well as evidence that law enforcement authored false reports during their investigation into Teresa's death. Kathleen also raised numerous claims of Brady violations, as well as dozens and dozens of claims of ineffective assistance of counsel. She also specifically alleged that Mark Wiegert, now the Calumet County Sheriff, planted evidence by swapping swabs to secure a conviction against Steve. Kathleen would learn almost a year later that her June 7th filing, motivated Calumet County Sheriff's Department to start a new investigation into her claims. This new investigation officially began on August the 30th, 2017, and would result in law enforcement contacting some of Kathleen's witnesses. Of course, at this point, she was not aware the state was investigating her allegations and contacting her witnesses. Because the state did not inform her they were doing so, presumably because they didn't want her to know. On September the 18th, 2017, Kathleen and Tom reached an agreement that would have allowed Kathleen's experts to conduct a forensic examination on both the RAV4 and the pelvis remains. This was a significant development. Excuse me. As the RAV4 and the pelvis are two pieces of evidence that might produce undeniable exculpatory results. On October the 3rd, 2017, the Circuit Court issued an order denying Steve's June 7th, 2017 motion. The denial was issued by the court without first ordering the state to reply, which in itself is a violation of Wisconsin statute. Further, the denial rendered the September 18th agreement between Kathleen and Tom null and void, meaning Kathleen never got access to the RAV or the pelvis bone. On October 23rd, 2017, Kathleen filed a motion for reconsideration in which she informed the Circuit Court judge of her many erroneous interpretations of fact and law. This is also the filing in which Kathleen first revealed to Fallon that she knew about the contents of the Dassey computer, including the thousands of images of young females being bound, blindfolded, raped, tortured, murdered, and mutilated. She also revealed her expert found dozens of searches for and images depicting child porn. Kathleen recently said in an interview that her October 23rd filing set off like a bombshell in the state of Wisconsin. Now, it was on October the 24th during a phone call between Barb and Scott Taddick and Steve that Barb called Zellner a bitch and flat out denied there was anything on the computer, and also denied she even had internet in 2005 and 2006. I suspect Barb probably regrets saying that. She's stuck sometimes between a rock and a hard place. I'm pretty sure about that. You know, at one time she did have a reasonable amount of trust in Mark Wiegert. That has completely eroded, thank goodness. And one can't help out thinking that, you know, if you were trying to protect somebody, you're maybe hoping that Kathleen Zellner would manage to get Steve free, which would help Brendan get free, but without incriminating somebody close to her. Anyway, I'm not here to speculate about that at the moment. Kathleen twice supplemented her October the 23rd filing. The first supplement was filed on October the 31st, 2017, and in it Kathleen alleged that Barb attempted to delete incriminating evidence from her computer in 2006 in an attempt to mislead investigators. It was on November the 10th, 2017, only 2 weeks after Zellner first mentioned the violent porn on the Dacia computer, that Bob, without demanding to see a warrant, turned over the computer tower to the DOJ upon request. Now, of course, this is the same computer that was previously seized by the DOJ, specifically Fassbender, on April the 21st of 2006, and forensically examined by Detective Veely. I can't really say why the computer was seized a second time in 2017, seeing as how the state had a copy forensic image of the computer from 2006, just like Dean and Jerry did, and just like Kathleen does. This recent seizure of the computer seems to indicate the state may have been interested in looking for data that was written to the hard drive after the computer was returned to Bob in May 2006. Otherwise, the state could have just examined their own forensic image to see what Zellner discovered. I have many questions about the state's motivation for seizing the computer once more on November the 10th, 2017. On November the 13th, 2017, Kathleen met with Dean and Jerry. Now remember that in April of 2006, Detective Mike Veely conducted a forensic examination of the Dacia computer, the results of which were put on a CD and given to Special Agent Fassbender in May of 2006. Now, during the November the 13th, 2017 meeting, Zellner learned that although a copy of the hard drive, forensic image, raw data, ones and zeros, was turned over in 2006, the Veely CD report, words and numbers, organized information detailing the state's discovery of torture, child porn, and incriminating searches, instant messages on the computer, was not disclosed to Dean and Jerry during the discovery process in 2006. Kathleen had Jerry sign an affidavit confirming that he would testify in court to the fact that the CD report containing the results of the state's 2006 forensic examination of the computer was never turned over during the discovery process. So Kathleen emails Tom Fallon requesting the Veely CD, request number 1. On November the 14th, 2017, Kathleen made her very first request of Tom Fallon for the Mike Veely CD, which was last reported to be in the possession of Tom Fassbender, a special agent, oh yes, he's special, with the DOJ, who once specialized in internet crimes against children. Remember, Fallon is an assistant attorney general. He works for the Wisconsin Attorney General, who controls the Wisconsin DOJ. Kathleen emails Fallon at 8:50 a.m., 10 to 9 in the morning. Was it not Kathleen that once said, quote, sleep is overrated? If you're sending emails at before 9 o'clock in the morning, then yeah, because certainly in the UK, most offices don't open till 9 o'clock. Anyway, she emails Fallon on 8:50, November the 14th. Mr. Fallon, no more dear Mr. Tom Fallon, dear Assistant Attorney General, just Mr. Fallon. I met yesterday with Dean and Jerry. I want to request three discovery items immediately. 1. The CD of Detective Veely referenced in Fassbender's December 7th, 06 report number 0517760304. The CD is titled Dassey Computer Final Report, Investigative Copy. Please include any and all documentation that shows this was ever turned over to Dean and Jerry. 2. Audio recording of Bobby Dassey's interview. Any and all documentation showing that the DVDs of the Dassey computer were turned over to Dean and Jerry. Your prompt attention to this request would be greatly appreciated. Sincerely, Casey. Three days passed without a reply from Tom, and so, on November 17th, 2017, Zellner filed her second supplement to the October 23rd, 2017 motion for reconsideration, in which she alleged the state, through Kratz and Fassbender, violated Brady in 2006 by withholding the Veely CD. Kathleen included the Fassbender report as an exhibit to this filing, the report in which Fassbender himself says he kept the CD in his possession instead of turning it over in discovery. Zellner also included the affidavit from Buting, in which he confirmed he was not provided with the CD in 2006. Now, Kathleen's above-described motion for reconsideration and subsequent supplements, filed in attempt to have the judge reverse her denial of the June 7, 2017 motion, were all denied on November 28, 2017, leaving Kathleen no choice but to take the case to the Court of Appeals. She filed her notice of appeal on November the 30th, 2017. So, December the 4th, 2017, Kathleen emails Tom again requesting the Veely CD, request number 2. From my reading of the email below, it seems that Tom failed to even acknowledge Kathleen's first request for the Veely CD in her November 14th email. So this is an email just before 3 o'clock in the afternoon, December the 4th, 2017. Dear Mr. Fallon, I am again requesting the following. 1. CD of Detective Veely forensic report regarding the Dassey computer, the audio of Barbiander, Blaine Dassey and Bobby Dassey interviews, Brian Dassey's CD of his interview. Please send email to confirm receipt and status of these requests. Sincerely, Kathleen. Now, obviously, Kathleen actually had to ask Fallon to stop ignoring her and at least let her know that he got her email about the Veely CD and that he was looking into it. This elicited a couple of replies sent by Fallon later that same day, although, as we can see, the replies were not very substantive, nor were they very helpful in terms of resolving this Brady issue. So 327, I am on the road and won't be able to address this until Thursday. I can say that I believe all of this information was provided in 2006. I'll look into this further on Thursday. And 1 minute later, Fallon sent the following email. Now that I have read your email more carefully, audio of the interviews might not have been provided. I will have to double check on that. Again, Tom works for the guy who controls the DOJ. At that point, Brad Schimmel. And so it should have been an easy thing for Tom to call and ask somebody to check if the CD was floating around. Further, as mentioned above, Kathleen has already provided Fallon with Fassbender's report and Buting's affidavit by this point, and thus he had every reason to know that Zellner was indeed correct in her assertion that the CD had been withheld. Nevertheless, as we saw above, when Tom Fallon finally responded to Zellner, he was dismissive of her claim that the CD was withheld while not even mentioning Fassbender's report or Buting's affidavit. As such, I find Fallon's diminutive reply regarding the CD to be remarkably disingenuous. Yeah, that one was for you, dude. Okay, I'll do it again. To be remarkably disingenuous. Of course, Zellner, not taking any chances, had her expert re-examine all the CDs she was given to ensure the CD had not been turned over. Third time, March the 20th. Oh, that's a year later. I remembered that one as well. Don't worry, I did remember. Yeah, I've got every reason to remember March 20th. Zellner emails Tom requesting the Veely CD again for the third time. Below we see Zellner's third and final request for the Veely CD. Obviously, Kathleen starts out her reply making reference to an email from Tom that we don't have access to, in which Tom apparently got a little defensive regarding the state's decision to not immediately give Kathleen the Veely CD upon her initial request. So another email fired off to Tom. Mr. Fallon, I have reviewed all of our discovery requests of you, and I do not see any accusation made by us that you are withholding information that we have requested. When we met with Mr. Buting and Mr. Strang, they identified certain items that they claimed were never turned over to them, such as 1. Brian Dassey, Barbie Ander and Blaine Dassey interview recordings. We requested these recordings from you and have yet to receive them. The CD of Detective Veely referenced in Fassbender's report. The CD is entitled Dassey Computer Final Report Investigative Copy. When you and I discussed this, you told me it was contained in the CDs, presumably the DVDs, that we already had, but it is not. Our expert confirmed that fact after re-examining all of the discs. You did very graciously provide the Bobby Dassey audio interview, which my audio technicians made audible for you and us. Also, you explained that the only video recording of the flyover, to your knowledge, was the one we already had. We appreciate your clarification of that issue. We are not making these requests for our own amusement, nor to waste everyone's time. Let me read that again. We are not making these requests for our own amusement, nor to waste everyone's time. We would like to get these items so that we can do a proper analysis of them. It is clear that Bobby Dassey, Barb Yander, and Scott Taddick's phone records were subpoenaed but Trial Defense Counsel never received the records. Again, thank you for your cooperation. Sincerely, Kathleen. Yippee! After Kathleen's third request, Tom finally acquiesced and, a month later, agreed to deliver a copy of the Veely CD to Zellner's office, which was done on April the 17th, 2018. Fallon sends a letter to Kathleen on April the 17th, 2018. Dear Attorney Zellner, consistent with our email correspondence and phone conversation of April 16th, please find copies of cell and landline records for Barb, 22 pages and 10 pages. Bobby Dassey, 3 pages of cell phone. For Scott Taddick, subscriber information, page 4 of Cellcom response. In response to the investigative subpoena issues on October 31st, 2006. We believe these were previously provided to Dean and Jerry during the discovery process in November and December 06. Additionally, we provide a copy of the CD containing Detective Mike Veely's report of his download analysis of the computer. We thought this was provided as a late non-itemized addition to the other discovery provided on December the 14th, along with 7 other disks, copies of the raw data download. We think this resolves all outstanding pre-conviction discovery issues. Yes. Amazing, right? Over a decade after Steve's conviction, and Tom Fallon thinks that all discovery material has been turned over. In the author's opinion, it is very telling that Tom Fallon was not confident enough to say, we are positive this resolves all post-conviction discovery issues. Because there's a few other huge ones. Now, also notice that Kathleen first requested the Veely CD on November the 14th, 2017, while the case was still at the circuit court level. However, Tom didn't provide Zellner with the CD until April the 17th, 2018, when the case had already been transferred to the Court of Appeals. And the problem is that this court does not allow you to supplement the record, because an appellate court can only issue opinions on matters previously ruled on by lower courts. However, Kathleen does things her own way, and so on May the 15th, 2018, she decided to take a chance and file a motion in the Court of Appeals to supplement the record with the Veely CD, informing the appeals court that she only recently received and examined the previously undisclosed discovery material from the state. On June the 7th, 2018, exactly 1 year after Kathleen filed her original post-conviction motion, the Wisconsin Appellate Court denied Kathleen's May 15th, 2018 motion to supplement the record with the CD, and instead, which is what they have to do, and instead remanded the case to the circuit court and ordered the circuit court judge, the lovely Judge Angela sucks at this, to allow Kathleen to supplement her original June 7th, 2017 motion no later than July the 6th, 2018. This was actually very good news. Right, I think we'll hold it there. We're what, about maybe a third of the way through, maybe a quarter of the way through. So I say we'll maybe do this in 3 or 4 parts. Just quickly have a look, see who's all in the chat here, and say hi to Alice, to Scooby the dog, and Sean. Hi, Sean, and Doctor. Hope you are getting better, and Carla, and Disco Pervert. And, who else have we got here? Yeah. He certainly is. He certainly is. Yep, I think. Hi, Paula. Big Dog. Hi, Big Dog. Okay. I think we've got everybody. Giving everybody a shout out. That's Hugh's here as well. Good evening, Hugh. Hope you're keeping well. And JD. Hi, JD. Let's see if I missed anybody else. Hopefully not. Oh, even Mark's here. Hi, Mark. And Colette. Hi, Colette. And Kelly. Well, I'll as I say, I'll say cheerio, and we'll look at the next part of this excellent Reddit post, maybe tomorrow. But anyway, we'll catch you all later. As I say, the dude loved the word disingenuosity. He just loved it. Anyway, catch you all later. Bye for now.